Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Sunrise, coming to you from Channels Television. It's been 2 weeks now since the Nigerian government closed a major border crossing between the country and the Benin Republic, leaving thousands of people stranded. Many traders have continued to rue the pains. President Muhammadu Buhari says that the partial closure was to check the massive smuggling activities in that corridor. Well, we have a panel this morning who are going to shed more light on this closure and what we have achieved in the last 2 weeks since its closure. We have Barrister Lasisi Fano, who is SEME Chapter Chairman of Customs Brokers. Good morning, and thank you for coming. We have the Steering Committee Secretary of the Federation of ECOWAS Licensed Customs Brokers, Mr. Austin Wusu. Good morning. The land border trader, Mr. Frank Itobe, is also here. Good morning. And the trade facilitator, Mr. Batayo Kenny, is also with us. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, let me start with Mr. Fano. The president has said that the main thrust, the main reason for closing this border is to check smuggling activities.
Smuggling activities?
Yes.
I don't think it's smuggling activities.
That's what
majorly.
the president said, majorly.
What actually we're informed, the closure of the border mainly for its security. And the security of every nation is for all of us. When we are talking of security, the government came up with the issue of security because they felt that there are a lot of things happening in the nations that need to be checked. And they felt that they should go to the border areas and shut it down to see. They brought their team. Of course, I believe it's not smuggling per se, but mainly security. A lot of things can fall under the security, we know, and that is the purpose of their temporary partial closure of the border, as we know.
Yes, the Controller General of the Customs or Immigration Services did say that there was a border drill, and they were conducting an operation with the Nigerian Customs, that there was really no border closure. But you can confirm, are there any activities at the border at the moment?
Yeah, there are activities. If you are a traveler and you have your traveling documents, passports or ECOWAS documents, you'll be allowed to go.
You can actually cross?
Yeah. What actually, between the hour of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., what actually is not right now happening for the 28 days is the trading environment.
Okay. Mr. Tobe, you are a border trader.
That's right.
What exactly is a border trader?
That's interesting. Very interesting in the sense that when you say
You can relax. You can
when
relax.
you say a person is a border trader, it means the person trade across the border.
What kind of goods are you trading across the border?
Wonderful. The goods that I trade on and my members are goods that are produced within the ECOWAS sub-region.
Such as?
Such as we have goods like grain produced in Ivory Coast.
Grains?
Creams. This body cream.
Creams, okay.
Produced in Ivory Coast. We also have butter produced in Ghana. We have several other goods produced across the border that have legitimate statutory right to come in under the ETLS, which is the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. This is scheme brought about by the government of all member states. That is to say, if you produce item A, you have right to take it to country B for sale. if country B have products that are supposed to, that the needs, that the country C needs, he has the right to also bring it. So in the course of all this, we need traders who can actually access factories across the border to purchase such goods and for onward delivery to persons that need it in the country.
Are adequate excise duties being paid on these goods?
Of course, of course, of course. It is under the scheme. No country, 1.5% is paid as ETLS in most cases. So the government, because you don't just bring them in anyhow.
Okay.
I ask this question because since this exercise started, the Customs Service is telling us that in 2 weeks their revenue has increased by over 40 million. And that is saying a lot.
If it has increased, it will have more than that.
Yes.
If the border were not to have been closed. Mind you, let me quickly react to that.
I don't understand.
Okay, let me quickly react to that. 40 million have been recovered. Majority of the goods, majority of the goods there, either under ETLS or through importation. Duties have been paid on them, of course. Duties have been paid on them. Those goods are just waiting for the lifting, the temporary ban to be lifted. And these goods start rolling in without paying another money. We are not going to pay another money.
So the other side of it is,
No, go ahead.
The question now is, if you say that under the ETLS, you and your colleagues have the right to bring in these goods.
That's right.
So this temporary ban or restriction is affecting you negatively.
That's
and you've
right.
already paid the duties on these goods. So, but then they're saying that because of that closure and the seizures they've been able to achieve by reason of that closure, their revenue, in other words, they are better able to carry out their duties because of that restriction.
No, it's not true.
And how do you say, I'm not there with you?
That's true. We know it's not true. What I mean by that is that if you say you are closing borders,
they have made that much.
It's not true. Maybe the ones we have paid have been added to what they had before. Because goods there now, we are not going to pay extra duties again. But duties have been paid on them. So if they are making over 40 million, according to what you just said now, it does mean part of the money that we have paid have been added to what they have. That's what it means.
Mr. Batayo, you're a trade facilitator. What does a trade facilitator do?
A trade facilitator is someone who tries to make all the atmosphere of the environment for the business to succeed. And when we talk about the business succeeding, we are talking about infrastructures. Talk about the road, the power, the banking sector.
The road?
Yeah.
In what sense, please?
Fine. You were just asking Mr. Itobe now if there have been movement of people. The question is, what do people go to do when they go to other countries? They go for tourism, for business. And so when they go, there are chances they are coming back with some goods.
Yes.
Or some consignment, maybe for personal use. So they have to transport such goods to the destination. It will pass through the roads. So if the roads are not in good condition, there's no how trade can be facilitated.
I still don't understand what you mean by road. Are you building roads?
No, you won't build road, but you have to draw the attention of government to know that these roads, they require attention because it's part of the things that will make the business to go smoothly. Now, when you say, when we also talk about trade facilitation, you're also trying to look at some of the government policies that are hampering business. One is when you make policies for people, and the people who are going to, the operators of these policies are not even carried along. And along the line, you find out that they tend to resist or they go against some of these rules because they were not part of those who brought in ideas on how these policies came about. So we have a kind of disconnect between our policymakers and the operators. So when we come in as business facilitators, we try to say, oh, look at, if you want this thing to succeed, this is the way to go about.
Okay.
Okay, so being in this area, in this axis now, with this partial closure, would you say trade, because if the customs are saying this, and from what Mr. Itobe is saying, they are losing when the customs says they are gaining money, how much of trade has been going on there?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, if the customs say they've generated additional 40 million, I'll be wondering within myself where they got that from. Because, like the chairman
From
just said,
seizures to start with?
No, when you say you seized some goods, did they sell it? Did they make revenue from it? No. They can only say that is the value of the goods they seized, not that they have made additional money.
Okay. You know, when we started this conversation, we said that the president said that the major reason for this partial closure was to curb smuggling. Now, I think it is general knowledge that a lot of smuggling goes on, especially through that particular border we're talking about. And in fact, I remember once I traveled to Abeokuta and I saw these funny-looking cars that were high off the ground and they were looking like they could just tip over and tumble. And I was told, oh, those are smugglers' vehicles. And I said, smugglers' vehicles, so everybody can see them. Everyone knows that they are smugglers' vehicles. So why are they still on the road? Why aren't the law enforcement agencies doing anything towards curbing smuggling by taking all these vehicles off the roads? So we all know that a lot of smuggling goes on there. But you disagree that that is not the main reason why the border was closed. What do you think is responsible for that partial closure?
Well,
as a trade facilitator?
First and foremost, what I was made to understand by, I think it was led by an ACG, when he came, he said for security reasons. And you see, when the word security is used in that context, you just give it to government because security can take any dimension. It's a very large and wide language. But along the line, when we started seeing that even at that, this kind of instances you gave, yesterday I was driving and I saw these two vehicles you are talking about with pineapple moving on the road. Then you start asking yourself, what is happening? So there may be more to it than we are seeing, because I learned from the media that the president of Nigeria, General Muhammadu Buhari, told the president of Benin Republic, Patrice Talon, that rice has been coming in from his country into Nigeria. And because of that, he is not happy with that because it's going to affect his investments in agriculture, which is a very beautiful, because our country is our country. We must protect our country. We must protect the investments of the people. You can see we are talking about what is happening in South Africa today. Some people have brought in money from banks and they are doing some kind of business. So if we don't protect these investments, how do you expect others to come and invest again? So, but what is really happening is that when these things come in, we have officers at these gates. When I say gates, I'm talking about operating as custom officers, operating as police officers. So where is it coming from? That's the question we should be. How did it pass if they are doing their job? So now, when you now come and talk about with the business people operating legally, legitimate business there, we are licensed to operate. We renew our license annually. In short, one of the criteria for you to be renewed is that you have no infraction or of any form. You've not evaded tax and also levies paid to government before your license can be renewed. So we are the genuine traders.
Okay.
And we have no reason to go into smuggling of whatsoever. Because if we do that, our license will be confiscated and we'll be held liable. Okay. So we will never. But there are people who doesn't even have, they don't have nomenclature where you can attach them or where you can get them when they commit these things. And they are operating, and there are enforcement agents seeing them. So how did they pass through? So they should not use that of what this clique of people are doing to now try to tarnish our profession, because our profession is a noble one. In America, licensed brokers are respected because they generate revenue for the government.
Mr. Austin, the Federation of ECOWAS licensed customs brokers. So you relate with the customs and all of that. And this matter of how much customs is generated from seized goods since the border was partially closed. That's one of the things everybody is like, how's that possible? Part of the complaints that this partial closure is affecting business. But then the reasons for the closure, are they not tenable? Security and curbing smuggling. Are the reasons not tenable?
Thank you very much. I quite agree with you that they are tenable. Security cannot be overemphasized. Everyone in Nigeria would like his or her properties to be protected. And if government is talking about security, everyone is into it. We can see what is happening in the country today. Killings, even along Ore Road, and so on, and so many other places. So if their major reason is security, who are we? We have to obey, and support government in ensuring that every life and property of every individual citizen are protected. Mm-hmm. We must. Okay. So when it comes to the business area, in the area of revenue generated so far, 40 million, well, just like what Obatayo has said, 40 million could be the value of the seized items. And Mr. Itobe, who is a trader, at least haven't invested so much in that route, would like to have his own profit. And now the consignments are locked. People are moving, but the consignments are not moving. This is totally against ECOWAS protocol. ECOWAS protocol talks about free movement of goods and persons along the corridor.
Okay, just hold your thoughts. We need to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please join us again. Now, welcome back. We're still talking about the partial closure of the Seme border. You were talking about the revenue generated and how it's not possible that that kind of revenue could have been generated within that short period, unless you're talking about the amount, the value of the goods seized. The question would be, why should goods even be seized at that end? Is it that the people bringing the goods there are not going through the right processes, the right protocol, and they're not paying the duties demanded?
Okay.
Because you're a clearing agent, so you're supposed to be working with them as well.
Yeah, we do. Actually, what we do is our association, Federation of ECOWAS Licensed Custom Brokers, we decided to come together in 2003 to bring all practitioners in the maritime industry along the ECOWAS sub-region together to have a voice and come up with the best international best practices in following the standard rule of IMO and the World Customs Organization. And the essence is just to ensure that anyone that is trading within that corridor, Lagos, Abidjan corridor, trade on a legal and legitimate trade. Our people engage in legal trade. That is what we ensure. And when they talk about smuggling or whatever, I don't think the smuggling they are mentioning I was told, the other day I went to the office, I was coming, I saw some women coming, buying a cup of rice, small quantity of rice. They were just carrying it and it was collected. Yes. And some of this rice we're taking, it is not rice alone and some other items. Our people don't engage in illegal trade. Every consignment that you see along that corridor must have procured every required, or they must have, fulfilled import procedure. They have fulfilled the procedure.
Can you please tell me how it is that baskets of tomatoes, baskets of pepper, basket of cucumber and okra were being seized at the border? Tomato, pepper, okra. This tells me a whole different story, a whole new story, that we are importing tomatoes, we are importing pepper, we are importing okra, cucumber.
Okay. If you talk about importation, I would just say no. Because
it's not importation.
It is trade along the border. Some of these things.
What is importation?
Okay, ma. I'm coming.
The tomatoes were not grown in Nigeria.
It was It was not grown in Nigeria.
So what is importation?
Okay. What happened is that, ma, some of these items you are mentioning are grown in, because in 1975, when the initial ECOWAS treaty was signed, the emphasis on ETLS was purely on agricultural products.
Oh, so is our own tomato also going across the border?
We do. Yes, Nigeria's own goes across the border. We take ours across the border. We take our onions across the border.
Legitimately?
Yes, ma. We take our ginger across the border.
I see.
Yes, that was the first treaty that was signed on ETLS process. The emphasis was purely on agricultural product, and later they now took it in 1990 or 1993 to accommodate some other items that are produced, locally produced in all the ECOWAS countries.
But Mr. Fano, that does not include rice, does it?
No. No.
Because, I mean, the president was specific, rice underlined. And there is still plenty of imported rice in our markets. So please, where are they coming through? We know where they're coming from, but how are they able to
pass through
and enter Nigeria?
You see, most of the border points are too, I would say, porous, because some of them, when you get there, for officers to be able to adjust to the terrain in such area is another difficult thing. And that does not mean that rice is allowed to come in, no. But the fact was that places like Idiroko, places like some of the northern area, they have some areas that for you to be able to monitor, unless you come out from those difficult terrain. If you don't come out from those difficult terrain, these people that are engaged in those business, they do whatever they can do to make sure they find their way. And that is why we, the brokers, supported what the government has done so far, at least to show Benin Republic that we have warned you, we have warned you, we have warned you. What quantity of this rice did you eat in your country? Very few. Few by the Nigerian citizens living there. If they are very few, you have cheap load. You've been invited. I think severally, you have been given warning. Say, keep this product. We don't eat it here. How many are you in these countries that you bring in cheap load of rice all the time? And still, these things will come. They don't have to find their way into the country, not through semi-border, where we operate. And that I can stand to defend. That rice in that quantity doesn't pass there. But now they can see that if they refuse and Nigeria decide to do what they want to do, for this 28 days, You earlier mentioned that this is the second week. Actually, it's the end of the third week. Yeah. If you go across there, they are suffering. I must confess to you. I used to go to Cotonou. I went there, I think, this week. Where we used to have traffic, there's no traffic. It tells you that they are already crying. Probably this will serve as a deterrent to him.
They are crying.
Yeah.
But the Nigerian side, you're not
We
crying.
are also crying because, you know why? We are more affected in the sense that the importers, their goods are standing there. Now, the PFRA, they started losing the kickstarter of those trucks. They started tearing the tarpaulin. And all sorts of demurrages are accumulated for those ones in the world, because now we don't even have truck to go and load. Those that we have loaded, the truck owners are counting demurrages on daily basis. So it's affecting us more, apart from the fact that they will realize that what they're actually doing is not good and Nigeria can live without them. The importers are the receiving end. Because most of them get loan from the banks. And they are not being cautious. Say between so and so period, we want to work on our security.
Mr. Toby, recently the border structure in that area was, did I say rebuilt or refurbished, but it looks better than what it used to be. Now this partial closure, I think one of you said something about unless there is connivance.
That's right.
So how best can we operate our borders? We've not looked at the illegal, there are illegal borders around there as well. Illegal entry points. Okay. Illegal entry points around there as well. So how best can we go about managing our border areas so that both you, the businessmen, and the government can be smiling?
Well, I think this one will bring me back to the management of custom, starting from the controller of semi-border. Like, for instance, once in a while, the UN that built that place, the EU came and they built the place. You people know it better. They built the place and they handed it over to Nigeria government. Once in a while, they used to come and hold meetings with major stakeholders there. Sometimes they would call me. We used to hold meetings with them. They tell us on how to run that place. And apart from this temporary, closure, we have not had any problem since they started using that place. And I must assure you that for now we don't have any problem, apart from these security issues that just came up. Ways to run it, very easy. There's seen good, well-fashioned synergy that is, in operation among all security agencies, the stakeholders, and even our Benin counterparts. They are all doing well. Everybody is working by the rules and regulations that is placed down by the EU on how to run that place. And things have been so effective. There have not been too much fracas. The beginning was like, okay, it's not going to be possible. But along the line, I think the things has been well, arranged, and everybody is working well. No problem at all. We don't buy rice as traders. So how come that we will begin to smuggle them when we know it is not possible to pass rice? Rice is prohibited. The government says that rice is prohibited because.
But you see, you're sounding like the government.
We still see plenty of rice in the market.
You sound like my father said I should not carry this thing. It's bad. But how would I?
We don't carry it. We don't carry it. That's the point I'm trying to make. We don't buy it.
So why would your father just come and say, don't carry it, if you're not carrying it?
Exactly.
No, there's a mix-up here. We don't buy rice.
Okay.
We don't transport.
But you bring another goods.
We bring other goods. That's what I've just explained.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm saying that
Yeah.
why would the government say something negative is going on there if you insist that you're doing your own bit, that is not happening?
That is the question I should be asking if I have this medium. Since I'm having this medium, The people you see here are gentlemen. We do our businesses.
Okay, all right.
We have our goods there.
Okay.
Duties have been paid on them.
Okay.
Okay.
So maybe you can tell us how this rice finds its way to the market? You don't want to tell us?
I don't know.
Okay, if you say you don't know, then you don't know. All
I
right.
don't know. I'm even surprised now.
Tayo, you want to tell us?
Well, no, I'm not talking about.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm only talking about the facilitation of business along the corridor.
Okay, all right.
And how has that been?
Well, the Nigerian government have made a lot of efforts to make sure there's a synergy between its sister countries, especially the ECOWAS country. If you are aware, 2 months ago or 3 months thereabout, we went into the connectivity with the neighboring country. And what brought about all these issues? See, to be very sincere, our government is trying to make sure that whatsoever comes into this country is safe for human consumption. Not only that, that anything that would be of harm to any citizen of this country too is being highly taken care of.
Okay.
So I think they are proactive to have said, okay, let's put a stop and check one or two things. You know, I'm not in the intelligent security,
Right.
but I know they must have some intelligent report that made them to take these actions,
Okay.
which we are very much comfortable with, because we are talking
Okay.
about business.
Okay.
If there are security breaches, nobody will talk about business now.
Okay. I'm glad you spoke about goods that are good for human consumption, because my mind immediately went to stuff like frozen chicken and frozen fish and all that. Anyway, thank you all very much for coming to share your insights with us this morning on this topic. Barrister Lasisi Fano, SEME Chapter Chairman, Customs Brokers, Mr. Nwosu Austin, Steering Committee Secretary, Federation of ECOWAS Licensed Customs Brokers, Mr. Frank Itobe, Land Border Trader, and Mr. Batayo Kenny, Trade Facilitator. Thank you all, gentlemen, for coming. And good luck, and I pray that the partial closure is lifted soon so that you can all continue your legitimate businesses. Sunrise will return in just a moment with another interesting conversation, this time politics.